Okay, so everyone ready for another deep dive?
Absolutely, let's do it.
All right, so today we're talking about something pretty crucial in the world of IT projects, and that's crisis management.
Yeah, crisis management. I mean, everyone likes to think it's not going to happen to them, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But as we all know in the IT world, things can go wrong, and when they do, they can go very wrong.
Oh, yeah. And it's not just about fixing the technical glitch. It's about leadership, how you react, how you communicate.
Exactly, and that's exactly what we're going to be digging into today, using a pretty fascinating case study. The 2017 British Airways outage.
Oh, yeah, that was a big one.
Massive, over 700 flights, grounded something like 75,000 passengers stranded, and a final bill of, get this, 80 million pounds.
Whew, that's going to leave a mark.
Yeah, so to guide our deep dive today, we're going to be looking at a really interesting article called IT Project Survival, Crisis Management Tips, British Airways by 𝗬𝗏𝗏.
Great article. 𝗏𝗏𝗏 really breaks down how this wasn't just a technical failure, but a failure of leadership.
And that's what we're really interested in, right?
Right.
What are the leadership lessons that we can all take away from this pretty epic meltdown?
Exactly. 𝗏𝗏𝗏 highlights 5 key areas, but the ones that really resonated with me were communication and team resilience, like building a team that can handle the pressure cooker when things hit the fan.
Okay, yeah, let's start with communication because, I mean, in a crisis situation, clear communication is everything, right?
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. You're one of those 75,000 passengers stuck at Heathrow, and you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, you'd be freaking out.
Exactly. And that's where having a solid crisis communication plan comes in. It's about having predefined channels, a designated spokesperson, keeping everyone informed.
Okay, so it sounds pretty straightforward, right? Having a plan, making sure people know what to do.
You'd think so, right? But the thing is, under pressure, even the simplest steps can fall apart. 𝗏𝗏𝗏 emphasizes the importance of testing and rehearsing your plan. It can't just be something you stick in a drawer and forget about.
Ah, so like a fire drill, but for IT disasters. Makes sense.
Exactly. Regular testing helps expose weaknesses before they become real problems.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've talked about the plan, but what about the people executing it? How do you build a team that can actually handle that kind of pressure in the first place?
That's where resilient team culture comes in. 𝗏𝗏𝗏 talks about the importance of encouraging collaboration, fostering a sense of accountability, and, even running those crisis simulations.
Simulation, so like putting the team through a mock disaster, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's like building muscle memory for your team so when a real crisis hits, they can react quickly and effectively.
But is there a risk, though, of, spreading resources too thin by constantly prepping for the worst case scenario?
That's a fair point. You definitely don't want to be constantly in a state of panic, but, strategically choosing those scenarios to simulate based on, your project's specific risks can be really valuable. It's about finding those pressure points and making sure your team knows how to respond.
Right, okay. So going back to those 75,000 passengers, do you think a more resilient team culture at British Airways could have actually, prevented or at least mitigated that whole communication breakdown?
It's hard to say for sure, but, a more resilient team might have been able to adapt more quickly to the changing situation.
Yeah.
They could have found alternative ways to communicate, kept passengers updated, and, ultimately reduced a lot of the frustration and chaos.
That's a good point. So we've talked about communication team resilience. There are a few other areas that Watt highlights in his article, like vendor relationship.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. The whole British Airways debacle stemmed from, a single point of failure with their power supply. Diversifying your vendors, having backup systems in place can make a huge difference in your ability to recover quickly.
So don't put all your eggs in one basket, basically.
Exactly. It's about risk mitigation. It's like having a plan B just in case things go sideways.
Makes sense. He also talks about the importance of agile decision-making, which basically means making fast decisions.
Yeah, and not just fast, but informed decisions based on the most up-to-date information you have. In a crisis, things are constantly changing, so you have to be able to adapt quickly.
And the last point Watt makes is about the end-user impact.
Right. At the end of the day, it's about the people who are affected by the crisis. In this case, those 75,000 passengers. It's crucial to be empathetic to their situation, to listen to their feedback, and to use that to improve your processes.
Thinking about it, we've all been there. We've all experienced website outages, service disruptions, and how a company communicates during those times really does impact how much we trust them.
Totally. It really underscores how these leadership skills, even the ones that seem basic, are absolutely critical in a crisis.
For sure. So this deep dive has been super insightful. I feel like we've uncovered some really valuable lessons about crisis management from the British Airways case.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest takeaway for me is that, preparation is key. Having a solid plan, building a resilient team, and prioritizing clear communication can make all the difference when it comes to navigating a crisis successfully.
Couldn't agree more. So as we wrap up here, I want to leave you with a thought-provoking question. Imagine you were leading the IT team at British Airways that day. Knowing what we know now, what's that one crucial decision you would make differently to try and mitigate the impact of that outage?
Ooh, that's a tough one, but a really good question to think about.
Yeah, definitely something to ponder. All right, so that's it for our deep dive into IT crisis leadership. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.